And I think God would kind of like us to be like, actually, I'd like you to serve and worship and study like 6 days a week, and maybe I'll give you one day off. How does that sound? I think we got some things backwards here where we're like,
Right.
I'm going to give him one whole day.
Right.
And Alma's like, you should be laboring for God maybe more than one day a week. And you can worship God more than just on the Sabbath day. Like you can literally worship God every single day.
We get caught up in the formality of the Sabbath more than we get caught up in the worship of God.
Totally.
And we often will have them kind of removed from our hearts a little bit and be so focused on, like the scriptures say, the things of this world. We kind of neglect where we need to be, and what we need to do. And sometimes we structure our lives, we put too much in, and our time is then taken, and we don't have enough time for the Lord. Yeah, that stood out to me. Blessed are you because you are compelled to be humbled. You don't often think that. I think it's said like either we humble ourselves or God will humble us, but we don't often think that that's the blessing of being compelled. When life strikes and things get messy and uncomfortable, it's hard to see that as a blessing. Often when we come out on the other side of it, we can kind of see how it was a blessing. But when we're right in the middle of it, no one wants to say, oh, I'm being blessed when my clothes look like rags and I'm cast out.
I'm here with my new friend, Jarom Olave. We're going to talk about some things. And I just figured, Jarom, if we're going to talk about this stuff, we might as well record it because we never know who we might be able to benefit from that. Now, Jarom, you've been watching Zion Media, what, for the past year or so?
Yeah, since about you guys started. I just remember the big, the 100 videos in 100 days.
100 shows in 100 days.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I'm gonna tune into this and see what it's about. So,
and then we met in person because you came on our Mexico trip. Give me a breakdown of the Mexico trip, how it was for you, and kind of, what it was like. I mean, you came by yourself, so you're like, you don't know anybody. You and I have texted, obviously, but you got to know some people maybe through the Zoom calls we did leading up to the retreat. But give me a little breakdown of your experience.
So, one, I'd never been to Mexico before, just like Tijuana when I was a kid. So I had gone to Brazil on my mission. So kind of my only experience with south of the border was that. I was slightly apprehensive to go just because, traveling always makes me a little bit nervous when I'm not familiar 100%. And then, there's a lot of stuff going on in Mexico, but I just deep down inside felt like, this is going to be a good trip. There's good people going. I just had a good feeling about it. And I kind of knew overall it was going to be a good experience, but I think it ended up being a whole lot better than I thought. It was just seeing things I've never seen before and going to places I've never been before. And I was really fascinated with, I'm always fascinated with archaeology and geography. Lance's shows on Zion Media were always kind of like my favorites. Like, I remember just being in the MTC. We had a break. I was up looking at a map of like South America or something, trying to find the Riverside or something, trying to figure out where all the stuff is. And, I could never ever come up with anything that made any sense. And then when I saw Lance's stuff, it was like, okay, finally somebody is presenting something that I can really grasp, that I can just kind of wrap my head around, and actually it makes sense. And so obviously the original plan was to see.
You hear that static or no?
No, I'm hearing okay.
Okay.
I think the original plan was to see Teotihuacan. We weren't able to do that because of like travel issues, but we just flew right into Oaxaca and met Connor and Deb. We kind of like met up on the plane because we all were in Houston. We were like the last group that showed up, and it was cool. I got to sit on the plane just randomly next to Connor, and he was a really cool guy. We got to know each other a little bit. And once we got there, everybody was just super friendly. I think Lance picked us up from the airport, and then just seeing that region for the first time, obviously, little bit of a culture shock. Mexico, the layout is a lot different than
You're good.
United States, but yeah. Once we got, I think, to Monte Alban, like that day we were there was just really cool. Really cool to
Monte Alban is sick, huh?
Yeah, it's really neat, and I mean, you can pretty much see it in the day, but it would be cool to spend maybe another day there. I don't know how much more we get from it, but just seeing everything and getting to take a lot of cool photos and stuff, and just hearing Lance explain kind of his theories and where he believes it is and stuff. And it felt like a real special place. Like this wasn't just some random place. It felt like it was probably, the city of Nephi or something.
I felt
really special. Yeah.
Nice. And then what'd you think of the beach?
That exceeded my expectations, to be honest. We got there and I was expecting some just sit on the beach, kind of chill. Maybe I didn't really do much research into the actual location. I just saw one photo of it. I was like, looks pretty nice. We got there and I think we were all like, wow, this is cooler than we thought. And what really impressed me was just the staff there, and they fed us. It was just really accommodating, and just sitting at the table and then bringing out dinner, and we're sitting there just like we get to enjoy ourselves, go run in the ocean, talk, and then we come and just have a nice meal and chill for dinner and everything like that. It was really cool. I really like that. So
I'm glad you came in. And while we were out there, we went over your Oraqel Code. And so today, what I want to do, and I do like these things are called like clue packages. And I take people's code. You're born on the 291st day of the year. And if I told you what year Jarom was born in, people would call me a liar. He looks younger than he actually is. But born on the 291st day of the year. And we start searching the scriptures. And so what I want to do with you today is kind of deep dive in to these scriptures and just start by, we're going to do these, you and I are going to do these scripture studies. And I just want to understand why your code points to certain places in the scriptures. And when we go to the 291st day of the year, it's literally the last page of the Doctrine and Covenants. And so it tells me that there's something about section 138 that's important for your code. And so today, rather than studying 138, I want to go to page 291 of the Book of Mormon. And the two things I want to study is it takes us to Alma chapter 32 and 33. And one of the things I find interesting about Alma 32 and 33 as I was kind of preparing for this is it brings in Jacob chapter 5 and it talks about the olive tree. And so when I saw this for Jarom, it's like a signal to me that Jarom is part of Jacob chapter 5, even though his Code didn't land in Jacob chapter 5. Where it did land on page 291 is, Alma 32 and Alma 33. So what I figured we'd do today is just dig in, deep dive into Alma chapter 32 and Alma chapter 33, and then figure out how this fits into your life. Like, why is this important to you? And a little background for people. I remember you telling me this. You showed your mission in Brazil. Your parents are converts. Is that right?
Yeah.
Parents are converts. So were you the first missionary in the family?
No, my older brother Doug was. He served in Virginia. Then I'm number 2, and then actually my younger brother and my younger sister after that also served missions. So 4 out of 6
By the way,
of us did missions.
What's up, Doug? I hope that Jarom sends this to you. He told me some really cool things about you. Said you're like the greatest big brother ever, and you and him are able to have lots of cool conversations. And what a cool thing that is to have a brother that you can have these conversations with. Okay, cool. Guys, the hour of temptation is here. And if you've fallen victim to the temptation, which is pornography, which is the plague of our generation, Live has a solution. Go to liveinvirtue.com. They have a 95% success rate in helping men overcome their pornography struggle. This program is geared towards Latter-day Saint men. So if you're a priesthood holder and you've struggled with this and you finally want to overcome it, go to liveinvirtue.com, book a breakthrough call. It's free, and get enrolled in Live today. Join the movement. Let's dive in. I think what we'll do, we'll have you read. And if you see things you want to talk about, just stop. If I see things that I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? We'll just kind of go back and forth. We'll spend an hour or so running through Alma 32 and 33. Does that sound good?
Okay. Sounds good. All right, verse 1. And it came to pass that they did go forth and began to preach the word of God unto the people, entering into their synagogues and into their houses. Yea, and even they did preach the word in their streets. And it came to pass that after much labor among them, they began to have success among the poor class of people. For behold, they were cast out of their synagogues because of the coarseness of their apparel. Therefore, they were not permitted to enter into their synagogues to worship God, being esteemed.
So what's happening right now? Where are we at in the story here? Sounds like they're doing missionary work. Alma's doing missionary work.
Right. Alma, I think Amulek is with him.
Yeah, and I feel like when he got Amulek, it gave him some confidence. So Amulek must have been like kind of maybe an influential guy or a powerful guy. But we got to remember too, Amulek basically like left everything to serve with Alma. And it seems like they're doing missionary work. They're having success among the poor, and they're having challenges among, they're getting cast out of the synagogues that appear to be kind of the nicer synagogues because of the coarseness of their apparel, meaning they don't look like them, and so they're not really fitting in with them.
Yeah, and it's usually when the people are the most humble. But yeah, I guess in this situation, they're completely just cast out and they're not allowed to worship, and they're just kind of complaining about it. And do you want me to keep continuing in verse 4?
Yeah, and I think it's a good lesson for us that if somebody comes to our synagogue, our church, and they don't look like us, they don't have a white shirt and tie, and maybe they got jeans and a t-shirt on, we need to make sure that we're putting our arm around that person, that we're fellowshipping with that person, that we're not treating them differently because they don't look like us. And that's kind of the lesson that I'm getting, at least right here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Verse 4. Now as Alma was teaching and speaking unto the people upon the hill Oneida, there came a great multitude unto him, who are those of whom we have been speaking, of whom were poor in heart because of their poverty as to the things of the world. And they came
poor in heart, Jarom. Like, I see that phrase, poor in heart.
Well, poor in heart is, I mean, they're very discouraged. And I think our idea of poverty in America is just very, very different from, what I saw in my mission and even in Mexico. Like poverty, like gross poverty is just a huge trial. And I've seen people languish in the streets. Just this, we would go by in Brazil. I remember just seeing the same kind of people or the same individual people just kind of sitting there, and they looked so kind of broken and sad. And usually with poverty, there's disease. I saw lots of disease, and people just, they get to a point where they don't know what to do. They feel trapped in their circumstance, and they're in a position where really they're truly poor in heart. And I've seen that firsthand. I have seen people broken sitting on the street.
But there's an upside to this, right? Too.
Yeah.
Like they're usually the most open to being able to receive things of a spiritual nature. And so there's something really powerful about a person that is in this way of poverty. And Alma's coming across these kinds of people. I know I served a mission in Africa. I came across those people. I know in Brazil, I'm sure you came across those people. And they were so receptive. They were so receptive to the message. And I just think there's something we can learn from them. Because I don't think we understand what it truly means to live in poverty. Okay, keep going.
Verse 5, and they came unto Alma, and the one who was the foremost among them said unto him, Behold, what shall these my brethren do? For they are despised of all men because of their poverty, yea, and more especially by our priests, for they have cast us out of our synagogues, which we have labored abundantly to build with our own hands. And they have cast us out because of our exceeding poverty, and we have no place to worship our God. And behold, what shall we do?
Okay, so give me a breakdown. What's happened here?
Well, one of the guys stood up and he's just explaining what their plight is. It's like, listen,
That's my situation.
this
Freaking
is what's going on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just saw you come out talking to all the rich people, and now look at us. We're super poor. Hey, I even think later in this it says we helped to build these buildings. Like we were the ones who helped build them,
That's what he said. He said, we've labored with our own hands to build these buildings, and now we can't even worship in them.
Yeah. And they're just one, they feel it's like a complete injustice to them. But I think there's this idea that they have ingrained that unless they have the privilege of worshiping God in this building that they built, that God somehow, they won't receive the blessing that the other people have or something. I think they're one, they feel like they're complete outcasts, but also I think inside they feel like, well, maybe we're outcasts before God as well. And they're believing that God maybe looks down on them too, because if the high priest doesn't even like us, maybe God doesn't either.
Yeah.
And I think people can get kind of caught in that trap,
Yeah. And they're going to Alma and they're saying, what should we do? And I think Alma's going to give a really powerful teaching to these people that we can apply to our lives. So go ahead.
And now when Alma heard this, he turned him about, his face immediately toward him, and he beheld with great joy, for he beheld that their afflictions had truly humbled them, and that they were in a preparation to hear the word. Therefore he did say no more to the other multitude, but he stretched forth his hand, and cried unto those whom he beheld, who were truly penitent, and said unto them, I behold that ye are lowly in heart, and if so, blessed are ye. Behold, thy brother hath said, What shall we do? For we are cast out of our synagogues, that we cannot worship our God. Behold, I say unto you, do ye suppose that ye cannot worship God, save it be in your synagogue only?
Exactly what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
Like they're thinking that the only place that they can go to worship God is in these synagogues. And Alma's like, guys. And I think this goes to people who may have suffered maybe excommunication, or maybe they're in some form of disfellowship, or maybe they can't hold a temple recommend for one reason or another, and they're feeling downtrodden, or they're feeling like, I can't. Like, we have to remember, God is where we want him to be. He's always with us. We can worship God. We can go up to the mountain. We can go right here and do it right over the internet. We have an opportunity to worship God wherever we are. Now, some places we worship differently than other places, and that's okay too. But I think Alma's understanding what they're thinking, and he's asking them this question of, you guys know you can worship God outside of these synagogues.
Yeah. Verse 11, and moreover, I would ask, do ye suppose that ye must not worship God only once a week? I say unto you, it is well that ye are cast out of your synagogues.
Hold on there.
Yeah.
He said, do you suppose that you must worship God only once a week? Hey, Jarom, what day of the week is it right now?
It's Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. What time?
It's about almost 4 o'clock.
It's 4 o'clock your time. Wednesday, 4 o'clock your time. And isn't studying the scriptures a form of worship? I think we got it backwards. I really do. I think what we do is we're like, okay, I'm going to worship God one day a week, and I get the other 6 days. And I think God would kind of like us to be like, actually, I'd like you to like serve and worship and study like 6 days a week, and maybe I'll give you one day off. How does that sound? I think we got some things backwards here where we're like, I'm going to give him one whole day.
Right.
And Alma's like, do you guys realize like you should be maybe doing this more than like one day a week?
Right.
You should be laboring for God maybe more than one day a week. And you can worship God more than just on the Sabbath day. Like you can literally worship God every single day. Like, do you realize you can do, and he's teaching them that, because I think we get stuck in these traditions, right? Where we just think, well, on Sunday, that's when I do my worship. The rest of the time I'm like off duty.
Right. And we, I think culturally, I mean, it's good to have a culture of going to church on Sunday, or maybe it's Saturday for you, and having your day. I think there's a lot of great blessings to having the Sabbath. One of them is just not doing any work at all, at least trying, but,
right.
We get caught up in the formality of the Sabbath more than we get caught up in the worship of God.
Totally.
And, we often will have them kind of removed from our hearts a little bit, and be so focused on, like the scriptures say, the things of this world, that we kind of neglect where we need to be, and what we need to do. And sometimes we structure our lives. We put too much. We put too much in, and our time is then taken, and we don't have enough time for the Lord, because we're always thinking about, hey, go. Let's do the next thing, or maybe it's entertainment. Maybe it's
Babylon.
Yeah.
And you get wrapped up in it. I'm guilty of it.
Oh, I'm guilty of it. And, I'm the kind of person, I like to do projects. I don't like to, sit around too much. And I do enjoy movies. I'm a movie person, more than a TV person. And I actually love watching like awesome YouTube videos. That's why I got into design media. But we all got our things that we enjoy to do, but then we get caught up in that kind of routine. And then it's like, oh, okay, now Sunday's here. I'm going to kind of like, it's like taking the hat, turning it around. It's like, okay, now I'm going to do the Sunday thing today. And instead of having God more of a presence throughout the whole week. And I think that in this day and age, with all the tech that we have, I think we could be listening to uplifting music. We could just be listening to our scriptures as we're driving to work. There's all kinds of things we can do. And so making more time is important, way important. So that's one of my goals. It's like make more time for the Lord and really get into the scriptures. So I'm kind of enjoying this. So this is good.
Nice. Okay, let's keep going. I just keep that in mind. Verse 11, 32:11. He's teaching us that we can worship God more than just once a week.
All right. So we're in 12 now, or did we already read that?
Yep, 12.
Okay. I say unto you, it is well that ye are cast out of your synagogues, that ye may be humble, and that ye may learn wisdom. For it is necessary that ye should learn wisdom, for it is because that ye are cast out, that ye are despised of your brethren because of your exceeding poverty, that ye are brought to a lowliness of heart, for ye are necessarily brought to be humble. And now because ye are compelled to be humble, blessed are ye. For a man sometimes, if he is compelled to be humble, seeketh repentance. And now surely whosoever repenteth shall find mercy, and he that findeth mercy and endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. I have that highlighted
So we
right
get
there.
Yeah, we get this concept. Blessed are you because you're compelled to be humble.
Right.
Now, Jarom, I've been there. I've been brought low, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm sure you've had your own trials. I know I talked to you. You've had your own crucible. That you've had to endure your own trials. But again, this speaks to the blessings sometimes that comes from, tribulation or trials or challenges. And Alma's letting these people that think they have this plight, he's teaching them, no, actually, this is a blessing. Like what you're experiencing is actually a blessing.
Yeah, that stood out to me. Blessed are ye because you are compelled to be humble. You don't often think that, I think it's said like either we humble ourselves or God will humble us, but we don't often think that that's the blessing of being compelled. So when life strikes and things get messy and uncomfortable, it's hard to see that as a blessing.
Yeah.
Often when we come out on the other side of it, we can kind of see how it was a blessing. But when we're right in the middle of it, no one wants to say, "Oh, I'm being blessed," when my clothes look like rags and I'm cast out and I'm really humble. But Alma's trying to teach us something here. So 14. And now, as I said unto you, that because ye were compelled to be humble, ye were blessed. Do ye not suppose that there are more that they are more blessed who truly humble themselves because of the word? Yea, he that truly humbleth himself and repenteth of his sins and endureth to the end, the same shall be blessed. Yea, much more blessed than they who are compelled to be humble because of their exceeding poverty. Therefore, blessed are they who humble themselves without being compelled to be humble. Or rather, in other words, blessed is he that believeth in the word of God and is baptized without stubbornness of heart, yea, without being brought to know the word, or even compelled to know before they will believe. Yea, there are many who do say, if thou wilt show unto us a sign from heaven, then we will know of a surety, then we shall believe. Now I ask, is this faith? Behold, I
Those are the signs we shouldn't seek for. Well, if you show me a sign, then I'll believe.
Right.
We can certainly ask for confirmations when we find something that we believe. We ask for a confirmation to know that the Book of Mormon is true, and we can seek for confirmations.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
18.
Let's see. Yeah, 18. Now I ask, is this faith? Behold, I say unto you, nay. For if a man knoweth a thing, he hath no cause to believe, for he knoweth it. And now how much more cursed is he that knoweth the will of God, and doeth it not? than he that only believeth, or only hath cause to believe, and falleth into transgression. Now of this thing ye must judge. Behold, I say unto you, that it is on the one hand, even as it is on the other, that it shall be unto every man according to his work. And now, as I said concerning faith, faith is not to have a perfect knowledge of things. Therefore, if ye have faith, ye hope for things which are not seen, which are true. And that's a scripture mastery one.
That's a great scripture mastery. Yes.
Yeah. We highlight that. And now, behold, I say unto you, I would that ye should remember that God is merciful unto all who believe on his name. Therefore he desireth in the first place that ye should believe, yea, even on his word. And now he imparteth his word by angels unto men, yea, not only men, but women also. Now this is not all. Little children do have words given unto them many times, which confound the wise and the learned. And now, my beloved brethren, as ye have desired to know of me what ye shall do, because ye are afflicted and cast out, now I do not desire that you should suppose that I mean to judge you only according to that which is true. For I do not mean that ye all of you have been compelled to humble yourselves. For I verily believe that there are some among you who would humble themselves. Let them be in whatsoever circumstances they might. Now, as I said concerning faith, that it was not a perfect knowledge, even so it is with my words. You cannot know of their surety at first unto perfection, any more than faith is a perfect knowledge. But behold, if you will awake and arouse your faculties, even to an experiment upon my words, and exercise a particle of faith, yea, even if ye can no more than desire to believe, let this desire work in you, even until ye believe in a manner that ye can give place for a portion of my words.
Okay, so I was going to get into a teaching here, and he's gearing up to teach about faith, because he recognizes that the first principle of the gospel is faith, that these people are downtrodden, they feel like they've been wronged, and now he's going to teach them about faith and how merciful God is.
Yeah. 28. Now we will compare the word unto a seed. Now if ye give place that a seed may be planted in your heart, behold, if it be a true seed, or a good seed, if ye do not cast it out by your unbelief, that ye will resist the Spirit of the Lord, behold, it will begin to swell within your breasts, and when you feel...
Let's break this down, Jarom. It's like, first off, it's let's compare the word to a seed. So we're comparing word to a seed, and it says here we have to give place that this seed may be planted. Now, you've read the Nemenha record, right?
Most of it. I'd say there's
You've been reading
at the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you've read a lot
of it.
Yeah. Now, if you don't ever allow for a place for the Nemenha seed to be planted, how could you ever even know if it's going to produce any fruit?
Yeah.
So
no,
we have to allow a place for that seed to be planted. And the mistake that so many people make is they think, oh, I already have a garden. I don't need any more seeds. And we can't do that. We have to allow a place. Now, we may even allow a place for a seed to get planted, and we may find out, that was a bad seed.
Yeah.
Right?
And if we don't, we often think, okay, what was the source of the seed? And we'll kind of put our bias on the seed before we even allow ourselves to plant the seed. And so a lot of times we get caught up in, it's almost like you're afraid to explore something unless you feel like it's been 100% vetted by somebody else. So in a way, you're relying on someone else's faith to have investigated it first, to then tell you, kind of spoon feed it to you, or like give you the synopsis. And if you're not willing to like say, listen, okay, take some personal responsibility. If it doesn't have to be in the Menha record, it could be anything. It could be something that you've never heard before. And maybe there's that little prick and the Spirit said, hey, investigate that. See what it's about. If you're relying on somebody else to give you the full kind of lowdown on it and before you're willing to even try, and I think we're going to miss out on a lot of cool things that we could have, if we were desired to explore ourselves and actually plant the seed. And so I found that I'm not afraid to just learn about something new or different. For me, it's like, what do I have to lose? If the seed is bad, it's not going to grow. And a lot of people think, well, okay, if I've invested all this time into something and it doesn't happen, it's like there are a whole lot worse things you can do than reading a book. But it's like I'd rather take a chance and just kind of listen to the Spirit, give something a fair evaluation, and just open it up and read it. And that's really what Joseph Smith was asking with the Book of Mormon.
Totally.
He's like, you've never heard of this book before. You've never even seen it. And a lot of people probably saw this thing like, what is that? It was probably sitting in a window on sale. I don't know exactly how they were selling it. It was just like person to person. But enough people were pricked in their hearts were like, wait a second, what is this book? I'm going to open it up and I'm going to read this thing. I remember watching this movie growing up, How Rare a Possession, the Book of Mormon. It was like this old church meeting. And the story of Parley P. Pratt, where he got the Book of Mormon and read all night and stuff.
Couldn't stop reading it. Yeah, I remember that movie.
Couldn't put it down. And just, watching that and being like, oh, that's really neat. And I hadn't read the Book of Mormon completely as a kid, but my testimony of the Book of Mormon has just grown slowly. It's like, I always felt it was true, but I didn't really understand or know all of it. And the people I know who are really who really study the Book of Mormon, they'll read it every year, and they'll always learn something new. And it's sort of my goal to really get into the Book of Mormon and like study it more. But there's more out there. The Lord has promised us more records. He's promised us
Totally.
the sealed portion. He's promised us the brass plates. When I hear that stuff, for so long, I'm like, man, I want more. And I don't think it's wrong to want more. I don't think the Lord is being, I think people, if people are thinking like, well, I can only want what the brethren give us exactly when they say we should have something or whatever. I think we should really be searching for something. Like if I knew I could go and take my shovel and say, hey, look, there's some records buried over there or something. I don't know. That spirit in me, like if I knew I could go out and find some records myself and find some way to translate them just to know what happened in the past. That's the kind of person I am. I'm not afraid to kind of like venture out and to read something. And I think the Menha record's a pretty cool record. It's definitely a lot to learn in that thing.
Yeah, it's worth reading. I found it to be a good seed. It's worth planting the seed. I've found the seed is good, and you just got to make sure you don't, like, there's some people that are like, okay, fine, I'll go ahead and plant that seed. They already have unbelief. So if you got to plant the seed and plant it with, okay, I'm going to give it a real fair opportunity. I'm going to have an open mind. I'm going to follow what Moroni said to do. I'm going to have a broken heart and a contrite spirit, and I'm going to search these things to see what truth is in there. But I love that what Nephi's talking about here, about this seed, and making sure that we don't cast it off, that we plant it with faith. Don't plant it with unbelief. Don't plant it and be like, I don't believe anyways, but whatever you tell me. Plant that seed with faith, expecting something to grow. And you may find out, nothing grew. That's okay. Okay. Keep going. This is a really good verse 28 here. Just so good. And it's interesting, but this is part of your clue package. And that's what I'll remind you. Like, this is a part of your story, your clue package. And how does this relate to you?
I think we did, He did 29, 28, 29. Let's see. Now behold,
we got about halfway through.
did we finish? Okay, let me see. I'll start here. And when ye feel these swelling motions, you will begin to say within yourself, it must needs be that this is a good seed, or that the word is good, for it beginneth to enlarge my soul. Yea, it beginneth to enlighten my understanding. Yea, it beginneth to be delicious to me. Now behold, would not this increase your faith? I say unto you, yea. Nevertheless, it hath not grown up to a perfect knowledge. But behold, as the seed swelleth and sprouteth and beginneth to grow, then ye must needs say that the seed is good. For behold, it swelleth and sprouteth and beginneth to grow, and now behold, will not this strengthen your faith? Yea, it will strengthen your faith. For ye will say, I know that this is a good seed. For behold, it sprouteth and beginneth to grow. And now behold, are ye sure that this is a good seed? I say unto you, yea. For every seed bringeth forth unto its own likeness. Therefore, if a seed groweth, it is good. But if it groweth not, behold, it is not good. Therefore, it is cast away. And now behold, because ye have tried the experiment and planted the seed, and it swelleth and sprouteth and beginneth to grow, ye must needs know that the seed is good. And now behold, is your knowledge perfect? Yea, your knowledge is perfect in that thing, and your faith is dormant. And this because you know, for ye know, that the word hath swelled your souls, and ye also know that it hath sprouted up, and that your understanding doth begin to be enlightened, and your mind doth begin to expand. I want to stop and make a little point on this, verse 34. A lot of people have a conception that faith, the purpose of faith is just to bring more faith. And I think what it clearly says here is that the purpose of faith is to bring about knowledge. And we often think that as long as we just believe enough, we're going to believe even more and more. No, but the Lord is promising us that we will eventually have a knowledge of things.
Yes.
And the mysteries that we thought we couldn't know would be made manifest to us. And for the people who are struggling with faith, who think that just faith is a dead end, that there's never any proof, they can never prove anything about God or his power or the gospel. I just want to, tell them that, hey, the purpose of faith is to eventually bring you to a sure knowledge. That's the ultimate goal, is to have a sure knowledge of God. First, you're going to have a knowledge about smaller things or lower things until it grows. But eventually the whole point is like, you go from telestial to terrestrial to celestial. Your knowledge is going to increase, and then your faith becomes dormant. And when your faith is dormant, you're not exercising faith in that particular thing because you have knowledge of it. All right, let me keep going here. 35. Oh, then is not this real? I say unto you, yea, because it is light. And whatsoever is light is good, because it is discernible. Therefore ye must know that it is good. And now behold, after ye have tasted this light, is your knowledge perfect? Behold, I say unto you, nay, neither must ye lay aside your faith, for ye have only exercised your faith to plant the seed, that ye might try the experiment to know if the seed was good. And behold, as the tree beginneth to grow, will ye say, let us nourish it with great care, that it may get root, that it may grow up and bring forth fruit unto us. And now behold, if ye nourish it with much care, it will get root and grow up and bring forth fruit. But if ye neglect the tree and take no thought for its nourishment, behold, it will not get any root. And when the heat of the sun cometh and scorcheth it, because it hath not root, it withers away, and ye pluck it up and cast it out. Now this is not because the seed was not good, neither is it because the fruit thereof would not be desirable, but it is because your ground is barren, and ye will not nourish the tree, therefore ye cannot have the fruit thereof. And thus, if ye will not nourish the word, looking forward with an eye of faith to the fruit thereof, ye can never pluck the fruit of the tree of life. But if ye will nourish the word, yea, nourish the tree as it beginneth to grow, by your faith, with great diligence, with patience, looking forward to the fruit thereof, it shall take root, and behold, it shall be a tree springing up unto everlasting life. And because of your diligence and your faith and your patience with the word in nourishing it, that it may take root in you, behold, by and by ye shall pluck the fruit thereof, which is most precious, which is sweet above all that is sweet, and which is white above all that is white, yea, and pure above all that is pure. And ye shall feast upon this fruit, even until ye are filled, that ye hunger not, neither shall ye thirst. Then, my brethren, ye shall reap the rewards of your faith, and your diligence, and patience, and long-suffering, waiting for the tree to bring forth fruit unto you.
Love that. It's all, I mean, Alma 32, it is one of the great chapters on faith. And then, so you're page 291. So you take in the last few verses of chapter 32, and then we get into chapter 33, because we're talking here about this fruit, and he's going to bring up Zenos the prophet, and I'm curious what Alma teaches here about Zenos the prophet. And if you, let's see, it's only 23 verses. If you still have a few minutes, let's see if we can buzz through chapter 33 and see what this is about.
Okay. Now after Alma had spoken these words, they sent forth unto him, desiring to know whether they should believe in one God, that they might obtain this fruit of which he had spoken, or how they should plant the seed, or the word which he had spoken, which he said must be planted in their hearts, or in which manner they should begin to exercise their faith. And Alma said unto them, Behold, ye have said that ye could not worship your God, because ye are cast out of your synagogues. But behold, I say unto you, if ye suppose that ye cannot worship God, ye do greatly err. And ye ought to search the scriptures. If ye suppose that they have taught you this, ye do not understand them.
He's telling them.
Yeah. Do ye remember to have read what Zenos, the prophet of old, has said concerning prayer or worship? For he said, Thou art merciful, O God, for thou hast heard my prayer, even when I was in the wilderness. Yea, thou wast merciful when I prayed concerning those who were mine enemies, and thou didst turn them to me.
I love this because he's like quoting now from a prophet that we don't have this prophet's words, and he's like, don't you guys remember what the prophet Zenos said? So you had Jacob quoting this prophet. So this prophet must have been something, incredible. And now he's quoting Zenos here, and Zenos is saying, I prayed to God when I was in the wilderness. I wasn't in the synagogue. And God turned to him in his wilderness. Let's find out what else Zenos has to say here.
Yea, O God, and thou wast merciful unto me when I did cry unto thee in my field, when I did cry unto thee in my prayer, and thou didst hear me. And again, O God,
he's crying to him in the wilderness. Now he's crying to him in the field. He's showing all the different places that he's worshiping, praying, communing with God.
Yeah. And again, O God, when I did turn to my house, thou didst hear me in my prayer. And when I did turn unto my closet, O Lord, and prayed unto thee, thou didst hear me. Yea, thou art merciful unto thy children, when they cry unto thee, to be heard of thee, and not of men, and thou wilt hear them. Yea, O God, thou hast been merciful unto me, and heard my cries in the midst of thy congregations. Yea, and thou hast also heard me when I have been cast out, and have been despised of mine enemies. Yea, thou didst hear my cries, and wast angry with mine enemies, and thou didst visit them in thine anger with speedy destruction. And thou didst hear me because of mine afflictions and my sincerity, and it is because of thy Son that thou hast been thus merciful unto me. Therefore I will cry unto thee in all my afflictions. For in thee is my joy, for thou hast turned thy judgments away from me because of thy Son. And now Alma said unto them, Do ye believe these scriptures, those scriptures which have been written by them of old?
So, Jarom, why do you think he's quoting Zenos here, and what is he trying to teach these guys?
Well, I think this passage has a couple purposes. One, their first concern of we've been thrown out of our synagogue. We can't really worship God. And what he's really teaching him is, look, there is and this prophet was probably found in the brass plates, and we don't have it in our current Bible. Or it could have been another Nephite prophet. We're not really 100% sure. But
so here's the interesting thing. We do know that Paul had this, or had something like this, because he's kind of in Romans 11, he's quoting from who we believe is Zenos or Zenoch when he's talking about the allegory of the olive trees. So
Yeah.
Who knows where this record was, but it clearly, Jacob has it, Alma has it, and it looks like Paul at least had something of it, or he was quoting something else. We don't know.
Yeah.
But you're right. This could have been another Nephite prophet that we didn't even know about. This could be a Nephite prophet that's included in but we do know, actually, we know Jacob's quoting it. And so it's highly likely it's probably somebody from the brass plates.
Right. So he gives all these examples, Zenos does, of all these locations where you can cry unto the Lord. He talks about the wilderness, the field, in his own home, in his closet. And so the idea of formal worship in a nice building is not the point here. He's trying to teach them, listen, being in the synagogue's fine, but that's not where the Lord really, really wants us to worship. And right now they're living the law of Moses. I think the law of Moses had a lot of more of outward formalities and stuff. And so later the Lord's going to teach people, I want a broken heart and a contrite spirit. I want you to give me,
That's
your heart.
He wants. Yeah.
And this is like sort of, it's there in the scriptures, but the Lord's trying to teach the people that the sacrifice he really wants isn't all the big, the robes and the priests and all this, the sacrifice of the animal has to be done this way, and it's very, very formal, a way of being religious. So being religious is less important to God than being sincere, because when we're religious, we're really thinking about what's the outward appearance. How do people perceive me? Do I look righteous to my neighbor? Do I look holy enough, or do I look like, I'm good enough to be in this group? And it becomes more of the social kind of dynamic thing.
Right.
And that's not what the Lord's after. And he's looking at the heart. It says, man judges by the outward appearance, but I, the Lord, look upon the heart.
Totally.
And that's one of the biggest trials. I think the biggest weaknesses we have as people is really getting to the heart of the matter and looking at people the way the Lord wants us to look at them. Another thing that Zenos is saying is, because we cry unto the Lord in all of these places, he has turned away his anger, and he is basically, in verse 10, visit my enemies with speedy destruction.
Fighting our battles for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's fighting our battles for us? Who's going before us and fighting our battles? I love that too. I saw that as well.
And if we don't know him, and if we don't have a relationship with him, and if we aren't opening up our hearts to him, he doesn't know. Let's just say he's less reluctant. He's more reluctant to give us what we need when we need it, maybe immediately. I think the Lord still loves us. And he is the perfect judge of every situation. But when we have that relationship with him and we're sincere, he has promised us he's gonna show up to be with us. He's gonna be beside us, and he's going to fight for us. And because he's with us, we will be victorious. What verse am I at right now?
See verse 14 and 15.
Okay. Now behold, my brethren, I would ask, if ye have read the scriptures, if ye have, how can ye disbelieve in the Son of God? For it is not written that Zenos alone spake of these things, but Zenoch also spake of these things. For behold, he said, Thou art angry, O God, O Lord, with this people, because they will not understand thy mercies, which thou hast bestowed upon them because of thy Son. And now, my brethren, ye see that a second prophet of old has testified of the Son of God. And because the people would not understand his words, they stoned him to death. But behold, this is not all. These are not the only ones who have spoken concerning the Son of God. Behold, he was spoken of by Moses, yea, and behold, a type was raised up in the wilderness, that whosoever should look upon it might live. And many did look and live. But few understood the meaning of those things, and this because of the hardness of their hearts. But there were many who were so hardened that they would not look, therefore they perished. Now the reason they would not look is because they did not believe that it would heal them. O my brethren, if ye could be healed by merely casting about your eyes, that ye might be healed, would ye not behold quickly, or would ye rather harden your hearts in unbelief, and be slothful, that ye would not cast about your eyes, that ye might perish? If so, woe shall come upon you. But if not so, then cast about your eyes and begin to believe in the Son of God, that he will come to redeem his people, and that he shall suffer and die to atone for their sins, and that he shall rise again from the dead, which shall bring to pass the resurrection, that all men shall stand before him, to be judged at the last and judgment day, according to their works. And now, my brethren, I desire that ye shall plant this word in your hearts, and as it beginneth to swell, even so nourish it by your faith, and behold, it will become a tree springing up in you unto everlasting life. And then may God grant unto you that your burdens may be light through the joy of his Son, and even all this can ye do if ye will. Amen.
So good. Okay. I like that he quotes Zenos here, but those are the two chapters that we'll cover right now. We're just going to go through your entire clue package, try to pick up, it helps me understand that you're like Alma. If we're finding you right here, then you're like unto Alma, and Alma's a part of who you are. And I could see you teaching these things on faith. You're very observant, and I think you're open enough to allow these seeds to plant. That's why you were willing to at least plant the Nemenhah record and see what's happening there. Cool. All right, dude. Any questions? We got a lot of stuff to go through on your clue package. When I look at some other things in your clue package, we got Luke chapter 8, which is the sower and the healer. And I think this is interesting. We're talking about seeds being planted. Now we're going to talk about the sower, the parable of the sowers in Luke 8, which is on page 1289, which is part of your code. DNC 68 and 69, talking about sealing power. Helaman 9, and then Isaiah 42, which is cool. You got that 9:11 in your code. And so Isaiah 42, that's going to be a fun one to dig into. And then Revelation chapter 9 as well. So it's going to be fun to dig into all these, just neat and kind of go through that and see if we can figure out why all these particular scriptures are geared towards you. And then after we finish this, then I'll do some deep dives with you into some of the other, scriptures that I found that are really interesting to read.
Awesome.
Thanks, dude.